Hi everyone, welcome to my September tag inspired by Tim Holtz's 12 tags of 2013. And this time Tim played with some layering stencils and some embossing paste. And this is the tag that he created, and let's see where I end up. I've decided I'm going to use this multi-medium to attach a book page to my tag as a starting point. I thought it'd be quite nice to be able to see some print underneath the embossing paste when I try out Tim's technique for this month. And it turns out that this month it's going to be my stash that dictates my colour scheme, and I've bought some new distress glitters, and I've got peacock feathers, mustard seed and shabby shutters. I've got some similar distress paints, and so that's going to be my colour palette for this tag. I know I should be using stains, but I'm going to try it out with paints and see what happens. Now, as I only have one of Tim's stencils that I got recently at one of his workshops, I'm going to be trying out this honeycomb stencil for this resist technique, and I've got some clear embossing paste by Cosmic Shimmer, and it turns out that this honeycomb is a little bit big on a tag, which is why I now have the perfect excuse to collect the one that's in the set by Tim. So I'm going to start out by spreading, a bit like you spread your sandwiches with your butter, the embossing paste through the stencil, and I'm being a little bit careful because I don't want to get it everywhere and I don't want it too thick. So I'm just gently spreading it across my mask. It was a bit cold and damp yesterday. I thought I'd speed up the drying process a bit by giving it a quick blast with my heat gun, and I think it did help a little bit, but I'm still putting it to one side and moving on and creating something else while I'm waiting for it to dry fully. Instead of stamping my butterflies, I've decided I want to make them fly off my tag, and I've got this gorgeous craft resist paper, and I'm going to be using the butterflies from that. I think I'll just do one more for luck. And then it's time to give them a spot of colour, and I think I'm going to be using my distress paints to do this. I've noticed that on this craft resist paper it's quite nice to dot on and wipe off the paint, particularly on designs like this that are quite fussy, and then I come back in afterwards and just add a little bit more detail with my paintbrush. I'm not trying to be too precise because all I want is a hint of pattern and a hint of colour, because I know that I'm going to be using my distress glitters on these butterflies later on. And courtesy of Tim's UK workshop, I actually have some of the little word stickers that he used on his tag this month. So I'm going to pick out my phrase, which is make something beautiful every day. When I can find every day. Oh, there it is. And my next job while my embossing paste is still drying is to colorise a strip of ribbon, and I'm using my distress paints to do this, and I'm using picket fence and broken china. I'm just drying off the paint a little bit before I do what Tim did, which was to use my one and only layering stencil. It's a good one, and I'm just going to create this. It looks quite retro actually. I'm using black soot distress ink, and I'm just creating a print all the way along the length of ribbon that I've colorised. And finally my embossing paste is dry, and it's time to reveal what all that embossing did, and I'm using my distress stains. You can see it start to appear, but I wasn't quite happy with the fact that I only had two of the colours that I wanted to use. So as you can see now, I'm going in with my distress paints and I'm adding some more colour, and that does have the effect of slightly colouring up the resist, because distress paint has the property that it will stick to practically everything and anything, and so I'm just being a little bit careful and trying to wipe off the pieces that of paint that go onto the resist, but I still wanted to create that extra dimension of texture using my paints. So I'm just using my layering stencil to add another layer of texture to my tag, and I think you can see here that the hexagon stencil that I used really isn't quite the right proportion for a tag, so I definitely need to go and do a bit more shopping for more of these layering stencils. I'm just looking a little bit at my layout and moving my words on. That decided to stick very quickly and luckily I'm not moving them too much, so I just cover up the bits that I've pulled off of the paper. And I thought they were a little bit too bright, so I'm just going over it with my distress paints. If you've been watching my tag videos that I've been creating as I've done each tag, you might notice that I do like to have something a little bit frilly and interesting going on at the bottom of each of my tags. And this time I'm going to use a new purchase of mine. I bought some of the industrious stickers and they really are rather yummy. I just wish there was a few more of them in the packet. They're so nice. But I'm just using that to add a bit of interest to the bottom of my tag. And then I'm going to ruche on some ribbon. And it was while I was gathering up my ribbon that I decided I just needed a little bit of sparkle or a little bit of sugary glitter below my ribbon. So I'm going to be using the tape to put that on. And I found that using the tape works and it is quite nice, but it just wasn't chunky enough for what I wanted. So I decided to come back in just before I rouged on my ribbon. So I'm adding a little bit of glue instead, and I'm going to attach the distress glitter in this way, and it just gave a little bit more of a chunky look and I quite liked that. And I'm adding another couple of lines of glue just to add a bit of interest above my quote. And the nice thing is about this distress glitter is it doesn't stick to everything. You know, it was quite a clean tidy up. I don't feel like I've got lots of glitter and sparkle sticking to my fingers. Lots of ink, but not lots of paint, but not lots of glitter. And then I'm just ruching my ribbon onto the bottom of my tag. Need a little bit more stitching, haven't quite done enough. And then just trimming off the ends and tucking it to the back of the tag. Another thing that's become a little bit of a trademark for my tags is that I like to frame them with a layer of a contrasting colour, and so I'm just getting all the tape ready on the back of my tag, and I've decided that I'm going to add glitter to a little top piece where I'm going to put the hole on my tag. Then I realised that I'm actually using a white glue, which is not a good idea, and so I'm going to switch that over for a clear one, and I'm going to carry on glittering. You can see I'm only glittering the very edge of the framing tag because that's all that's going to show and I don't want to waste my glitter. And now it's time to glitter the butterflies. And I did start out by using glue straight from the nozzle of the glue because it is quite a fine nozzle, but it just wasn't fine enough. So I'm moving on. Once I've dipped this little butterfly in my brand new pot of mustard seed glitter, I'm going to be using a glitter pen because it just gives me a little bit more control of where the glitter is going. It is probably a little bit naughty dipping them in the glitter pot in this way because I could risk contamination of my colours. Being a little bit careful and just adding details to the wings of my butterflies. So now whilst the wings of my butterflies are drying, I'm going to attach my tag to its glittery frame. And I'm just going to punch a hole in the top and tie on the dotty ribbon. And I'm not throwing away those scraps because I think they'll come in useful for something else. And then it's ready to attach my butterflies. And you might notice, or you might not because this is on fast forward, that I decided I don't like that bottom butterfly, and suddenly I get another one. There it is, and I quickly glittered that off camera, or I've cut that bit out as I've edited, and I'm carrying on as if nothing happened. Now this is the point in proceedings where I drag out all my stash and have a look through all my embellishments to see what I'm going to put as those final touches on my tag. But actually this month I was pretty good, and I took a photo of my desk for Wowie this morning, and actually considering I made this tag yesterday, it's very tidy indeed and definitely not how it normally looks. Whilst I was rummaging, I found this butterfly tissue tape, so I'm going to add a few more butterflies to my tag. Another little rummage. I thought I'd leave this bit in because it shows you that I think that I'm going to go in one direction with adding a flower to the top of my tag, and I end up in another direction, as you will see, as I leave this to run and take its course. And that really is the beauty of this challenge. It's a perfect chance to have a play and the perfect chance to start out at a point of inspiration and end up wherever your creative journey leads. Nope, not happy with that. I'm a little bit happier with that. I'm just adding a little bit of sparkle. I've got some teeny tiny yellow gems and they're perfect as little centres in these pewter colour flowers. In fact, if I'd have had a pewter distress paint, I would have coloured the little heart paper clips that I've got. And I'm adding a good layer of glossy accents to my butterflies because I want them to stand out and look as if they're enamelled and jewel-like with all that lovely glitter. And then just as Tim did, but I'm using my distress ink rather than my distress pens because I've only got 3. In fact, no, I think I've got 4 now in my collection. And I've made my wording and my quotes stand out. I think it's the addition of a couple more gems on my industrious stickers. I think that's job done. And all that lovely glossy accents did eventually dry, as you can see here on this close-up of my distressed, stickled and glossy accented butterfly. So if you're not already playing along and you've enjoyed seeing my all the fun that I've had creating this tag, then why not pop along to Tim's 12 tags of 2013 and join in all the fun. And as you can see, my collection's building up nicely. I can't believe there's only 3 more tags left to go for this year. Actually 4 for me because I haven't quite done January's yet because I started a little bit late. If you like this little storage unit, then there is a workshop available for purchase over on my Etsy shop or on my blog. So both of the links are on my YouTube About page. If you've enjoyed this video, and I really hope that you did, don't forget to press that subscribe button. And thank you very much for joining me. See you next time. Thank you for watching.